What would you do if a wild animal chose you as its family? In the snowy wilderness of Oregon, a woman stumbles upon a barely breathing bobcat cub, alone, freezing, and close to death. She takes a risk, wrapping it in a blanket and carrying it home, not knowing this single act of compassion will change both their lives forever. But as days turn into weeks, something extraordinary happens. The cub doesn't just recover. It bonds with her and refuses to ever leave. Stay with us as we unravel a true story of loyalty, survival, and the wildest kind of love. Whispers in the pines. Sometimes the wild chooses you, and when it does, there's no going back. The snow fell like ash from a broken sky, blanketing the pine forest in a silence that felt older than time. It was early February near Bend, Oregon, and a heavy winter storm had swept through the Deschutes National Forest the night before. The morning air was razor sharp, the kind that cuts straight through the seams of your coat and chills you down to your bones. There were no tire tracks on the road, no animal prints. Just white. Endless untouched white. Samantha Greene adjusted the straps on her backpack and pulled the wool-lined hood tighter around her face. 32 years old, with olive-toned skin and wind-bitten cheeks, she had the hardened look of someone who spent more time with animals than people. Her eyes, hazel, observant, distant, were always scanning the world like a lens behind her camera. Her boots crunched into the ice-packed trail as she hiked toward a hidden clearing she'd visited dozens of times before. She wasn't chasing a perfect shot today, though. Not really. She just needed the quiet. Life hadn't been kind lately. After the death of her younger brother the previous year, Samantha had withdrawn from city life entirely. She left behind a promising editorial career and bought a rundown cabin 15 miles outside town. No neighbors. No distractions. Just pines, peaks, and the unpredictable, beautiful cruelty of nature. Halfway down the trail, she heard it. A sound that didn't belong. Faint. Fragile. Like a cry swallowed by wind. She stopped dead in her tracks. It came again. High-pitched, thin, almost too soft to be real. A cry. Not human. Not a bird either. It was sharper, raspier. Desperate. Samantha turned off the trail instinctively, her boots sinking into knee-deep snow. The cry grew louder, more frantic, guiding her through the trees like a compass made of sound. Her heartbeat picked up, not from fear but urgency. Whatever it was, it didn't have much time. And then she saw it. Curled beneath a fallen pine, half buried in snow, was a small, unmoving shape. A bobcat cub, barely the size of a house cat. Maybe 5 or 6 weeks old. Samantha's breath hitched as she crouched down beside it. The cub's fur was matted with ice, its belly barely rose and fell. Frost crusted over its whiskers, and its ears, those iconic black-tipped lynx ears, were flattened low, trembling. She scanned the area. No signs of a mother. No blood. No tracks, at least none recent. The storm must have separated the cub from its den, and with no warmth, no protection, no food, it was dying. Most people would have walked away. Samantha didn't. Very slowly, she peeled off one of her gloves and reached out, placing 2 fingers against the cub's tiny chest. A heartbeat. Faint. Uneven. But there. "You're not done yet," she whispered. She unzipped her parka and carefully wrapped the cub inside, against the thermal layers of her fleece. The cub whimpered once, a weak protest, then fell still. Samantha stood and turned back toward the trail, her boots breaking through the snow like a plow. The forest had gone quiet again, except for the sound of her breath and the cub's shallow, struggling life pressed to her ribs. By the time she reached her truck, the sun had dipped low and the sky was a bruise-colored gray. The cab of her old Toyota Tacoma was already freezing, but she cranked the heat to full blast and pulled off her wet gloves with trembling fingers. She looked down at the bundle in her arms. It hadn't moved. "Don't you dare," she whispered, voice cracking. "Not after I found you." Driving one-handed, she sped the 5 miles back to her cabin, her heart thudding louder than the crunch of tires over frozen gravel. She laid the cub on a blanket by the fireplace and ran for her emergency kit, digging through it for anything that could help. No formula. No incubator. No time. She improvised. Warm water mixed with honey, fed drop by drop through a plastic syringe meant for dogs. She placed heating pads beneath the blanket and covered the cub with a second fleece. Every 5 minutes, she checked for signs of breath. A twitch. A shiver. A flick of the ear. An hour passed. Then another. It wasn't until midnight, when Samantha dozed off beside the fireplace, that she felt it. Something stirring under the blanket. The cub had moved. Just slightly. But it was enough. Her eyes welled up with relief. "You're a fighter," she murmured, voice barely a breath. "I guess I have to call you something." She looked at the tiny creature, now barely visible under layers of warmth, and thought back to the tree it had been found under, its skeletal branches reaching skyward, brittle but still standing. "Aspen," she said softly. "That's your name." Outside, the wind howled through the trees. The storm wasn't done yet, but neither were they. Samantha stayed up the rest of the night, feeding Aspen drop by drop, whispering to him in a voice she hadn't used in years, a voice soft with grief. Hope, maybe even healing. She didn't know why she'd brought him home. But deep down, something told her. Aspen hadn't been sent into her life by accident, and neither of them would ever be the same again. Chosen by a wild heart. You don't decide when a bond is born. Sometimes it happens in a whisper, in the quiet between heartbeats. The first 24 hours were critical. Samantha knew that from every survival manual she'd ever read. But none of them told her what to do when a half-dead bobcat cub cried like a baby if she moved more than a few feet away. She hadn't slept. Not really. The fireplace had glowed through the night, casting flickers of amber across her cabin walls. Aspen lay curled in a small bundle of fleece just inches from the hearth. His breathing was shallow but steady, and every so often, a small twitch in his paws or ears would send a wave of hope washing through her chest. He was still fighting. She fed him every 2 hours using the syringe, sugar water at first, then slowly incorporating kitten milk replacement she managed to borrow from a local vet after a desperate early morning call. "A bobcat?" the receptionist had asked, clearly skeptical. Samantha didn't elaborate. She just said, "He won't survive the day without it." Back home, she warmed a dish towel in the microwave and used it to gently rub Aspen's belly, simulating the grooming his mother would have done to help him digest. It was awkward and fragile, but it worked. Every time his tiny tongue flicked against the syringe's tip, she whispered encouragement like a mantra. "You're safe. You're okay. I've got you." By the second night, he stirred more often. His eyes fluttered open, cloudy and unsure, catching the firelight like polished glass. Samantha leaned in close, expecting him to flinch, but he didn't. He blinked slowly and gave a soft, rasping chirp, the faintest sound, but it echoed like thunder in her chest. He saw her. He knew she was there. That moment changed everything. Samantha cleared space beside the fireplace and built a soft, enclosed den out of towels, flannel, and the base of an old dog crate. She added plush toys to mimic littermates, but Aspen ignored them. When she stepped out of view, his cries began, high, shrill, relentless, and they didn't stop until she sat beside him. She moved her laptop to the floor and started working next to him. She took calls sitting cross-legged, whispering updates to clients while Aspen slept curled around her ankle. She even brought her meals to the ground, never wanting to be more than arm's length away. He needed her. But what shocked her most was how much she needed him. She stopped setting alarms. Her days were measured in feedings, in tiny purrs that barely qualified as sound, in the rhythmic rise and fall of a fragile chest that trusted her completely. By day 4, Aspen could stand, wobbly and clumsy, like a toddler on ice skates, but upright. His legs trembled with every step, but he followed her, stubbornly, comically, through the cabin. When she opened the fridge, he bumped into her ankles. When she showered, he waited just outside the curtain. Samantha caught herself smiling, actually smiling, more times in that week than she had in the past year. It was strange how natural it felt, how right. And at night, when the wind screamed outside and snow lashed the windows, Aspen would nestle into the crook of her arm, his fur pressed against her chest, and fall asleep with a sigh so human it made her heart ache. He didn't act like a wild animal. He acted like he'd already decided who his family was. And Samantha, somewhere deep inside, had stopped questioning why. She didn't rescue Aspen. They rescued each other, chosen by a wild heart. Healing isn't always loud. It can be the quiet miracle of something broken learning to trust again. By the start of the second week, Aspen was a different creature. Gone was the trembling, frost-bitten kitten Samantha had scooped from the snow. In his place was a small, wild soul that stretched, yawned, and tried, with mixed success, to pounce on shadows. He still stumbled sometimes, his back legs not quite strong enough for the bursts of energy that surged through him like electric sparks. But every day he grew steadier, bolder, more alive. Samantha began to document his progress, partly to track his development, and partly because she needed a record, proof that what was happening was real. She shot videos of his clumsy attempts to climb onto the couch, of the way he dragged a feather toy across the floor with surprising coordination, and of his habit of curling into her laundry basket like he owned the place. Each clip was a quiet rebellion against the idea that bobcats don't bond with humans. She uploaded one to her private account. No hashtags, no captions. Just a 30-second video of Aspen toddling after her down the hall, letting out tiny chirps every time she moved too far ahead. The video exploded overnight. By morning, her inbox was flooded. Is that a bobcat? Are you a rehabber? Where did you find him? Can I follow your journey? Samantha didn't respond. Not right away. She hadn't intended for the world to see Aspen. This wasn't about clicks or attention. It was about survival, about something unexplainable that had taken root between her and this animal. But now that the secret was out, curiosity came fast, and not all of it was harmless. She received offers from wildlife content creators asking for collabs. She got messages from people claiming she was endangering herself, or worse, the bobcat. Some even threatened to report her. But there were others, messages that made her pause. One was from a retired wildlife biologist. I've worked with dozens of wildcats. I've never seen one act like this unless it imprinted. What you have is rare. Be careful, and don't break that trust. Imprinted. The word stayed with her. It explained why Aspen always sought her out, why he preferred her sweatshirt to his blanket pile, why he followed her from room to room with unwavering focus. It wasn't just survival. It was something deeper. He had chosen her, and she, despite all her caution, had chosen him too. To accommodate his growing energy, Samantha bobcat-proofed her living room. She removed breakables from low shelves, taped padding over sharp corners, and rolled up her antique rugs. She installed a tall scratching post and even cleared space by the window so Aspen could watch the birds at the feeder. That became his favorite spot. He would leap, effortlessly now, onto the wide windowsill and press his nose to the glass, his ears flicking as he watched the flutter of wings just beyond reach. Sometimes he would chatter, a strange mix of huffing and trilling that sounded oddly amused. His fur had grown thicker, silkier, a mix of sandy beige and soft gray, with dark markings beginning to emerge. His eyes, once dull and glazed, now sparkled amber under the cabin lights. And his paws, once too weak to even flex, now batted at anything that moved with impressive speed. But through it all, one thing never changed. Aspen refused to be far from Samantha. Even when he had full run of the cabin, he always kept her in his line of sight. If she stepped outside, he would sit at the door and cry. If she worked at her desk, he'd curl on her feet. When she woke in the morning, he was already on the bed, purring low in his chest like a house cat. It wasn't natural, but it was real. And as the snow continued to fall outside, as the world beyond her property remained quiet and cold, Samantha began to understand the truth. Aspen didn't belong to the wild anymore. Not completely. He belonged to her. And whether that was a blessing or a burden, she hadn't decided yet. But she wasn't letting go. Not now. Not ever. The line between wild and home love isn't always enough when the law, and the wild, come knocking at your door. By Aspen's third month in the cabin, Samantha could no longer deny what she'd known from the beginning. This couldn't last forever. He was growing fast, too fast. What once felt like a miracle now teetered on the edge of something more complicated, more dangerous. At just over 10 pounds, Aspen still looked small, but his movements had shifted. No longer clumsy, no longer innocent. There was grace in the way he stalked through the hall, precision in how he pounced on his toys, a flicker of the predator he was born to be. And then he killed a bird. Samantha had left the cabin door open for a few minutes while unloading firewood. In that short span, Aspen darted out and cornered a small gray jay beneath the porch stairs. By the time she reached him, it was already limp in his jaws. His body was tense, eyes wide with instinct. Blood dotted his whiskers. She didn't scold him. She couldn't. He hadn't done anything wrong. He was a bobcat. Nature was written into his DNA, but something shifted after that. He began testing boundaries. He clawed through the screen door one evening to chase a squirrel. He climbed on top of the kitchen cabinets and leapt 5 feet onto a ceiling beam. He started meowing at the windows at night, low and insistent, as if something inside him remembered the world outside. And Samantha, she felt the weight of it. She began to worry, not about Aspen hurting her, but about the moment when someone else would decide he was a threat. She was already on thin ice. Oregon's laws about possessing wild animals were strict. Rehabilitation without a license was illegal. Keeping one as a pet? Even more so. It hadn't mattered before, when he was dying, when he was small and helpless and no one knew he existed. But now her social media post had been shared thousands of times. A video of Aspen playfully batting at her hair had gone viral. Comments ranged from amazed to alarmed. She got an email from a local wildlife officer. Polite, curious, firm. We've received reports of a bobcat being raised in a private residence. If this is true, we need to speak. Panic bloomed in her chest. She didn't respond. Instead, she drove 3 towns over and bought materials from a lumber yard: fencing, plywood, locks, weatherproof tarps. Over the next few days, she built Aspen a secure outdoor enclosure, complete with perches, logs to scratch, and enough space for him to leap and prowl to his heart's content. He hated it. The first time she placed him inside, he cried for hours. He paced along the walls, scratching, biting, pawing at the door every time she left his sight. But Samantha stayed firm. He needed more space. He needed stimulation. He needed to know the cabin wasn't a cage. What broke her was the way he started dragging her hoodie into the enclosure. Every time she visited, he'd bring it to her, drop it at her feet like a gift, and press his head into her stomach with a soft, defeated chirp. "I'm trying to do what's right," she whispered into his fur. "I just don't know what that is anymore." The truth was, she didn't want to let him go, but the line between love and law was getting thinner every day, and somewhere out there, someone with a badge and a checklist was going to knock on her door. The question was, what would she do when they did? The line between wild and home. Sometimes, the hardest goodbye is the one that hasn't happened yet, but already haunts you. The letter arrived on a Tuesday. Plain white envelope, government seal in the corner. Samantha's stomach twisted before she even opened it. Inside was a formal notice from the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. It wasn't a threat, at least not on the surface. It was phrased carefully, respectfully. "We understand you are currently in possession of a juvenile bobcat. This species is protected under state wildlife law. We request immediate contact to assess relocation options to a licensed rehabilitation or sanctuary facility." Relocation options. 2 words that made her throat tighten. She sat at the kitchen table, the letter clutched in her hands, while Aspen dozed beside the fireplace, curled into her old winter coat. His paws twitched in sleep, ears flicking with dreams. He looked like a cat, almost domesticated, except for the wild flicker that never quite left his eyes. He trusted her completely. And now she might have to hand him over. She spent the next 2 days researching every sanctuary within driving distance. Most were full. A few said they'd consider taking him, if she transported him immediately. One center in Northern California expressed interest. "We specialize in native predators," they explained. "He'll have space, a proper diet, and interaction with his own kind." But when Samantha asked if she'd be allowed to visit, the silence said it all. She tried to imagine Aspen living in a steel-fenced compound, surrounded by other rescued bobcats, looked after by strangers with gloves and clipboards. He'd survive. But would he understand? Would he forgive her? The next morning, she began preparing him for the transition. She set up a carrier in the living room, scattered his favorite toys inside, left treats leading toward the opening. Aspen was curious at first. He sniffed the carrier, walked around it, batted the toys out like he was rearranging the plan. But when she tried to guide him in gently, he froze. His body went stiff. His tail flicked once, then again. And then he backed away slowly, eyes wide. Samantha didn't push. She tried again that night, and again the next morning. Each time he refused. Not aggressively, not fearfully, just knowingly, as if he understood exactly what it meant. By day 3, Aspen started hiding when she entered the room. He'd crouch behind the couch or leap to the loft beams, watching her silently. It was the first time he'd ever avoided her. And it broke her. She sat on the floor, holding the carrier door open with trembling hands. Her voice cracked. "I'm not doing this because I want to," she whispered. "I'm doing this because I think I have to." No answer, just silence. Then, after a long moment, she heard something. A soft sound. The sliding creak of claws on hardwood. Aspen stepped out from the shadows, slowly, deliberately. But instead of walking toward the carrier, he walked to her. He dropped something at her feet, an old wool glove, the same one she'd used that first night to warm his body. The scent of cedar and firelight still clung to it, and then he looked up, not confused, not scared, just certain, as if to say, "You don't have to explain. I know, but I'm still yours." She didn't put him in the carrier, not that night, not the next, because that moment, that quiet act of trust, was the only answer she needed. She wasn't giving him up, not without trying everything first. And if that meant fighting the system, changing the law, or standing alone, then so be it. Because Aspen wasn't just a bobcat anymore. He was family. And you don't abandon family. Proving Aspen's place. When the world tells you it's impossible, sometimes all you need is proof that love can be wild too. Samantha had never been a fighter. Not in courtrooms. Not with bureaucrats. But when it came to Aspen, there was no other choice. She spent the next morning on the phone with every wildlife authority she could reach. Most responses were the same. No exceptions, no private ownership. Bobcats are wild and must be treated as such. One official even told her bluntly, "He's not a pet, and you're not a sanctuary." But then, a sliver of hope. An officer from the Wildlife Management Office in Eugene mentioned something rare but not unheard of, a private wildlife handler's permit. It was usually reserved for rehabilitation experts, educators, or veterinary professionals, but it existed, and in exceptional circumstances, it could be granted. Samantha latched onto the word exceptional like a lifeline. She started the application that night. It was no small task. The forms were dense, technical. She had to outline her property, draw blueprints for Aspen's enclosure, detail his feeding and enrichment schedule. They asked for references, past animal care experience, vaccination records, contingency plans. She spent her days training Aspen and her nights writing reports. She installed motion cameras around the enclosure to log his behavior, feeding times, and exercise. She recorded videos of him responding to her voice, curling into her lap, playing gently with enrichment toys designed for domestic cats. She labeled everything, filed everything, annotated every clip. When the application asked her to describe the animal's temperament, she wrote, "He is wild by blood, but not by bond. He recognizes me as his safety, not his captor. He's never hissed, never swiped, never bitten. He sleeps beside me, not because he's been forced to, but because he chooses to, every day." Weeks passed. Emails came in, follow-ups, verifications, requests for more data. Samantha complied with everyone, no matter how tired, no matter how daunting. And finally, an official visit was scheduled. A field officer would arrive unannounced sometime within the month to observe Aspen and determine if the permit and the bond were real. Samantha looked across the cabin at Aspen, curled on the rug, grooming a back paw with lazy precision. They had come this far together. Now it was time to prove they belonged together. Proving Aspen's place. Sometimes all it takes to change a mind is one moment you can't explain with rules. It was a Thursday morning when the knock came. 3 firm raps on the front door, no warning, no scheduled time. Samantha's heart leapt into her throat. She glanced at Aspen, who was napping beside the hearth. His ears perked up at the sound, but he didn't move. She opened the door to find a woman in a crisp khaki jacket, with a state wildlife badge stitched over the chest pocket. A clipboard in one hand, a quiet authority in her eyes. "Ms. Greene, I'm Officer Keller. I'm here to evaluate your permit request." Samantha stepped aside. "Come in." The woman entered, eyes scanning the room with practiced detachment. Samantha's cabin, usually lived in and cluttered, was spotless, reports stacked neatly. Cameras set to record. Aspen's enclosure visible through the rear windows, complete with enrichment items and climbing logs. Keller turned her gaze toward the fireplace. There, Aspen sat up, watching the visitor with wide, unblinking eyes. He didn't growl, didn't retreat. Instead, he stood, stretched, and casually walked across the room, right to Samantha. He pressed his head against her hip with a low chirp. Officer Keller's brow lifted. "That's uncommon." Samantha smiled, keeping her nerves hidden. "He does that when he's curious. He always checks with me first." Aspen sniffed the officer's boot, then padded over to the couch and leapt onto the armrest, curling into a soft loaf, tail twitching. Keller walked slowly around the cabin, asking questions. Diet, behavior, training, escape risks. Samantha answered them all, showing her logs, her videos, even Aspen's vaccination records from the vet who had started assisting quietly, off the books. Then came the moment that mattered most. Keller set her clipboard down. "I've seen a lot of captive animals, rehab cases, abandoned cubs, even illegally kept exotic pets. But I've never seen a bobcat this calm in a home setting." Aspen yawned and stretched toward Samantha's hand. Keller watched closely. "No aggression," she murmured. "No stress cues." She picked up her clipboard again, scribbled a note, then glanced up. "You'll hear from us within the week." And then, almost as an afterthought, "He doesn't just tolerate you. He trusts you." Samantha nodded. "Yes, he chose me. Home, not tamed." "You don't tame a wild heart. You build a world where it chooses to stay. Samantha received the approval letter 3 days later. It was short, almost clinical. Her private wildlife handler permit had been granted under a special exemption. Educational classification, non-breeding, single animal only. Aspen was now officially hers to care for. She read the letter 3 times, hands shaking, barely breathing. They had made it. Aspen was home. From that moment forward, life didn't slow down. It simply became more intentional. Samantha turned her wooded property into a safe haven, expanding Aspen's outdoor enclosure until it stretched across nearly a 1/4 acre. She added trees to climb, platforms to leap from, and brush piles that mimicked natural cover. A small pond at the center gave him space to splash and watch dragonflies. But the enclosure wasn't a prison. The gate stayed open most of the time, because Aspen never strayed far. He still slept by the fire when it was cold, still curled against her side during thunderstorms, still followed her around the cabin with those sharp, intelligent eyes that missed nothing. At night, she'd find him watching the moon from the porch, tail flicking, ears twitching, not longing to leave, just remembering the wild in his blood. Samantha built her routine around him, and not out of obligation, out of respect. Mornings began with hikes through the ridge trail behind her cabin. Aspen would walk beside her, not leashed, not forced, just present. He would veer off now and then to investigate a scent or chase a leaf, but he always circled back. His territory, like his trust, had boundaries, but she was always inside them. And word spread. Neighbors, local schools, even community groups began inviting Samantha to speak. She started giving talks about bobcats, about coexistence, about the thin line between fear and misunderstanding. Aspen didn't always attend. He wasn't a display animal. But when he did, he stunned people with his calm demeanor and quiet presence. No growling, no pacing, just a wild animal, at peace. Samantha never pretended Aspen was domesticated. She told the truth, that he was a wild creature who had made an impossible choice, that what they shared wasn't training or obedience. It was something older, something earned, a bond rooted in survival, in trust, in love. And as the seasons changed and the forest bloomed again, Aspen stayed right where he wanted to be. Home. Home not tamed. Some bonds don't ask for understanding. They simply ask to be honored. 3 years passed. 3 winters. 3 springs. 3 full cycles of the wild moving around them, while the world inside the cabin remained still, sacred. Aspen was fully grown now, nearly 35 pounds of lithe, muscle-bound grace. His coat had deepened into a rich gray-brown, patterned with shadowy rosettes. His eyes, golden and calm, still followed Samantha with the same quiet attentiveness as the day he first blinked up at her from a blanket by the fire. Samantha had changed too, not in the ways you could see in a mirror, but in the ways that mattered. She was no longer just the woman who had rescued a wild animal. She was a guardian, a voice, a reminder that compassion, when rooted in humility, can cross boundaries most would never dare approach. The talk she once gave in church basements and school gymnasiums had grown. Wildlife organizations started inviting her to conferences. Her photos of Aspen, playing in snowdrifts, sunbathing on pine logs, rubbing his cheek against her boot, had been published in magazines and shared worldwide. But what people responded to most wasn't the novelty of a bobcat living with a human. It was the honesty. She never sugarcoated the struggle, the fear, or the weight of responsibility. "This isn't a pet story," she would say. "This is a trust story. Aspen trusted me not because I trained him, but because I showed up when no one else did." When asked when she knew they were truly bonded, she always told the same story. "It was months after I found him. I was crying one night, couldn't even say why. One of those grief waves that crashes out of nowhere. I didn't call for him, just sat there on the floor, breaking. And he came, climbed into my lap, put his head on my chest, and stayed there. No sound, no movement, just stillness. Like he was holding space for me the way I had for him." Now, when Samantha looks at Aspen curled near the fireplace, his tail gently flicking, she doesn't wonder if she did the right thing. She knows, because every night he returns to her side, and every morning he chooses her again. The world may never fully understand their story, but Aspen does, and that's enough.